Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Like, what the hell is going on? That all these players, like Liverpool was an absolute. Let's not get crazy. Over a 3-team teaser.
Welcome back to another episode of Football Prediction with me and teacher Mark. Today we'll talk about the Premier League, the FA Cup, the mess at Everton and Chelsea, everything. We'll get it covered for you guys. So why not? Let's start off with the Prem.
Oh yeah, well, big weekend in the Premier League last weekend. Some really good matches, some big matches. The one obviously that was the big talking point: Man United Arsenal.
Big match.
It was a great game. Yeah, it was. When we were talking about that game the previous week, I gave a little bit of an advantage to Arsenal, and that's pretty much what the game came down to. They had a little bit more than Man United. What was interesting is Man United scored first in that game, and in years past, if Arsenal had given up the first goal, especially in a big game, like that was it. They were done. Like they were done.
Yeah.
This was kind of the mentality of the club for many years. But this one, Man United scored first. It was Rashford. Minutes later, Arsenal came right back. Boom, 1-1. Like it was a sign that like this team isn't going anywhere. They ain't going anywhere. They've got so much talent. They're mentally strong. And we saw it at the end of the game. It was 2-2. Late on, second half, Arsenal pop up with a winner. 3-2. Good night.
Late drama. But yeah, Arsenal in that match, they're good at attacking. But the problem with them is they've given away the ball too many times. They've lost possession too many times to Man United. But you also know that Man United, they're good at counter-attacking.
Oh, absolutely, they're good.
Absolutely.
It's kind of the sign of a team that's like got a lot of confidence. Is a team that they're not afraid to kind of give a little bit up defensively because they have so much confidence that they can score. And right now, Arsenal feel like they can score anytime, anywhere. If they give up a goal, so be it. They feel like they can go down to the other end of the pitch and get it right back. And I agree with you in that game. Like, yeah, Man United, they were able to find some cracks in the Arsenal defending, but Arsenal ultimately, they had the confidence to push forward and win that game.
Yeah, but I mean, Van Bissaka, that game.
Yep.
He was absolutely screwed at the far post.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to defend the far post. But I mean, good credits to him. He did well. And then the last goal was offside because of him.
Well, they looked at that for a very long time. That goal. I mean, when I was watching that game, like I couldn't really tell. But when I saw the replays, I do ultimately think that it was the correct choice. That goal was onside, and that VAR got that correct. It was a tight game. I mean, Man U, like, okay, they lost the game, but they didn't really. I wouldn't say they played badly. Arsenal just had a little bit too much for them on the day, and that's it. It's a learning experience for Man U. That's really all that game was. They're still a work in progress. They've made a lot of progress this season with Ten Hag. Sometimes it's easy to forget like just how bad Man United have been recently, and now like they've come far. They've put in a lot of hard work. They're getting better. But it's not going to always work out for you every game. And for them, you know, Arsenal got them. And earlier in the week, Crystal Palace had a 1-1 draw with them as well in the Premier League. So they had a tough week in the Premier League, dropping, you know, 1 point from 6 available. That's a poor return, but they're still having a good season.
They're having a good season because their Marcus Rashford
on fire.
Their Marcus Rashford was on fire because I don't know if it's because of Ronaldo, because you know the way Marcus Rashford used to play when Ronaldo was at United. I think Ten Hag said it has to go to Ronaldo. He wasn't doing what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, now Ronaldo was gone.
Oh yeah.
We have Ronaldo, so
yeah,
he got that chance to show off.
Absolutely.
He showed off and he did pretty well. That's what brings him up to this level now. I think.
He scored again last night, League Cup against Nottingham Forest.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, this guy's on fire. We mentioned this in the video a few weeks back that Ronaldo's gone and Harry Maguire ain't playing. And like for the past well, you know, Ronaldo was there for a year and a half, but Maguire's been there for many seasons. Like that was so much drama in that team with Maguire being bad for so long, and then all this stuff with Ronaldo. Like it just like put this big cloud around the club. And now that those two guys are gone, like Man United have just kind of like completely opened up, and they're playing with this confidence. And they'll be fine in the future. They'll be fine. But it was Arsenal's day. Arsenal can feel really good about it. top of the Premier League, and they're going to be difficult to catch.
Yeah.
You know, they've got this strength and mentality. They've got a manager that's doing everything right at the moment. They are going to be really, really hard to catch. But you never know. They still have to play Manchester City twice in the Premier League, and they've got to play in the FA Cup this weekend. We'll talk about that very soon.
Yep.
Very soon.
Very soon.
So Arsenal have the confidence, but there's still a lot of matches to play. Elsewhere, there was the Liverpool-Chelsea game. We don't have to talk too much about it. It was awful.
But to be fair, I banged it though. I said 0-0, you said 1-1.
Yeah.
The results came out draw.
Yeah, I mean, we both said that last week. Draw. It was a bang-on draw. A very, very forgettable match. Those two teams have a lot of work to do. It's best just to move on from that game. And the less we say about it, the better. And Manchester City, they had the win over Spurs last week and the win over Wolves, just like we said on the video as well. We'll talk more about that in our teaser section coming up as well. But Man City, they're right in there. They're not going anywhere. For them, it's going to come down. I really feel with Man City, it's going to come down to those games with Arsenal that they got. They're good enough to beat anybody in the Premier League. Will they be able to beat Arsenal when they play? That's it. If they can have kind of a mental advantage over them, which is going to be difficult because Arsenal are really on a roll right now. Maybe Guardiola knows something about Arteta because they've worked together for so long that could give Man City an advantage. We'll have to wait and see. But 2 wins last week for Man City. They played well, especially in that second half against Spurs. They were very, very good in that game.
Conte was absolutely masterminded by Pep. In the second half, he was screwed. Normally Conte, he'll be the master. He master at the second half, you know. But that match, Pep absolutely screwed him over.
Well, I don't know what Pep said in the dressing room, but it made a big difference because that second half, you know, Man City came out with loads of energy. And they really took the game to Spurs. With that said, there was one moment in that game. Man City had scored twice to make it 2-2. And Spurs had a moment where they pushed forward and they had a really good opportunity that hit the crossbar. And, you know, if that goal had gone in and they'd gone back on front 3-2, you never know.
Something could have changed.
Something could have changed, but it didn't happen that way. And Man City got 2 more goals and they deserved their victory.
Yeah, but real quick, talking about Spurs, have you heard the news about Harry Kane? That he wants to move.
Well, there's been Harry Kane gossip for years. I mean, years and years. I'll read the news that he wants to move, then I'll read the news that he wants to stay. So, to answer your question is yes, I did see that news. I don't really know what to believe when it comes to Harry Kane these days because I see it both ways about him maybe wanting to get a new contract or leave. I know that Man United would be very, very interested in him. Man City, of course, would be very interested in him. But Man City with Erling Haaland, they probably don't need him.
I think that's enough.
Yeah, I think that's enough. He possibly could go abroad if he wanted to.
Yeah, because normally Spurs, they sell, every time they sell their players, they always go on board.
Yeah,
they always move to another country.
Oh yeah, well I mean, they've done the deals with Real Madrid famously with Luka Modric and Gareth Bale. Those ones with Real Madrid. So let's see. Harry Kane, he's 29 now. With his current contract, I think his contract has a 1.5 years left on it, so I think he'd be like 31 when his contract finishes. So he's got one more really big contract in him where he'll want to get like a 3 or 4 year deal for a shitload of money, and then like he can say like, okay, this is like where I'm going to see out and finish my career at. So he'll have to make that choice very wisely. Whether it's going to be Spurs or some other club, we'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see. But to be fair, I think Man United could. Yeah, but I mean, United, they already have.
I mean, Rashford's on a roll. He's on a big time roll. Yeah, Man United, they've got these wing players now. Antony they signed, you know, Antony was like £80 million, but he's been a little bit disappointing actually for Man U. Out of all the great things they've done this season, like for me, Antony has kind of been like a bit of a disappointment. He really hasn't done too much. We saw him at the World Cup. He was okay with Brazil, but I think that they were expecting a bit more from him. So if the point is this, yeah, if Rashford's not scoring, they have problems. The Crystal Palace game last weekend is a perfect example of that. That 1-1 draw with Crystal Palace. Rashford didn't particularly play very well in that game. It's one of the few games he hasn't done much. And when he didn't have a good game, Man United really, really struggled in that match with Crystal Palace. So from that standpoint, Harry Kane, he could definitely come in and be that difference maker when they really need a goal during a tough match and a tough moment.
Good point.
So I guess it's best to talk a little bit about the big mess at Everton right now. It's just a circus there. I'm seeing these stories that are coming out all the time about what's happening. So Lampard, of course, is sacked. We don't know who they're going to bring in as their next manager. The fans are furious. I read a story that the owner was going to sell the team, but then he came out a few hours later and said, no, I'm not going to sell the team. I'm keeping them. I saw they tried to sign one player from Villarreal, and he actually did an interview with the club and a photo shoot with the team kit on, and then like an hour later he decided to sign with Spurs.
What?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that just kind of represents what a mess that they're in right now. An absolute mess that, they're losing players that they thought they had signed. They can't find a manager. I mean, they were talking about Bielsa coming in from Leeds. And I guess they were contacting him and they really want Bielsa, but Bielsa, I guess he said, I'm not interested. It's too big of a mess. Now, I don't know if this is all true, of course, but he doesn't want to get involved. It might have to be Wayne Rooney.
Wayne Rooney.
We know that Rooney would say yes. He loves Everton. He'd be there in a second, but is he the man to get them out of trouble?
I don't think so. To be fair, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, Bielsa, he was a madman.
Madman.
He was a madman. I've seen on the news that one day the fans want to raid his house, and he was greeted them with. He said that he had a bomb on his hand, and then he was like, "Come on in, come on in." He always thought he was like, he had a bomb on his hand, and the fan was like, "Fuck!" and he ran off. And I was like, my man was like, Bielsa was a mad coach.
Well,
he was mad.
You don't want to mess with him.
You don't want to mess with him.
No, you don't.
Argentina cycle.
Oh yeah. Well, when he had his good moments going at Leeds, he had specific players that could fit his tactics because his tactics are very, very demanding. And right now, Everton, there's no way that Everton can play the style of football that he wants to play. They don't have those players. So if he took the job, it's almost like he would take it knowing that there's a good chance they would be relegated, and then he would say, okay, I'm going to try to get you promoted next season in the championship, because I don't think he can save them with his tactics and the current players that they have, and they don't have money to sign anybody. So he's an option. Rooney, okay, maybe. Is Rooney any better than Frank Lampard, though? That's the other big question. Like, if you bring in Wayne Rooney, what's he going to do differently than Frank Lampard? I'm not sure about that one. So it's a big mess there. We'll see how it plays out. Their next match, by the way, in the Premier League is with Liverpool. So that's in a few weeks.
Everton.
Yeah, Everton. Yeah, that's in a couple weeks. After the FA Cup, those two games, those are going to play Everton and Liverpool.
It's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that when it gets closer. So
we'll talk about
it's interesting, but it's kind of like every day I'm reading the news going online and this stuff with Everton, I can't get enough of it because it's just so funny. I mean, if you were supportive with them, it's awful, but for a neutral, it's pretty entertaining. So it's a big mess there right now. So anyway, I guess we'll look at the FA Cup. FA Cup this weekend. It's back, 4th round. Some good matches. Obviously, the pick of the bunch: Manchester City and Arsenal.
Oh. We've got a lot to talk about. That game is being played Friday night, Saturday morning. I think it's a 3 a.m. kickoff in Thailand.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, which is really, really disappointing. So it's so late, but it's a Friday night.
No problem.
I'll be waiting to watch it. Absolutely. But it's one of those games like, say Mancity were to win it, I mean, it would give them a big psychological advantage. Really big psychological advantage, saying, listen, we're not going anywhere, we can catch you. We can get you. Yeah. When we play in the Premier League, you better be ready. On the other hand, if Arsenal can get that game, if Arsenal can win it, then it just completely flips and saying, you know what, this is our season, you got nothing. So there's some real psychological tactics involved here. Both managers are going to have to really be on their game. Because it's the FA Cup, team selection could be interesting. It probably won't be the strongest first 11 for both teams. They might decide to keep some players on the bench to bring them on in the second half. There's some real mind games I think are going to be playing between Arteta and Guardiola.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't just look down at Arsenal because when Man United got the lead first,
yep.
Arsenal players, they put their head down, they play football, they do everything to get equalize a goal.
Absolutely.
So just imagine if Man City scores first. I mean, Arsenal got that momentum that they will probably win the league, but I mean the experience. I don't know how they handled their nerve. I think they have less experience than Mancity and Liverpool that they have competed for like
absolutely.
2-3 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see if they can keep that nerves. But I think they have less experience than.
It's a great point, yeah, because this is their first time, going for the title in 20 years, really, and it's also their first time that they're going to have to really experience what it's like to hold off Manchester City. It's a really difficult thing to do. And for Man City, they might know, this is a tough season with Arsenal. The Premier League's going to be really difficult to win. We want to make sure, because Man City already lost in the League Cup, the Carabao Cup, they lost to Southampton, so they ain't winning that. So the Premier League's going to be tough. So for Man City, they might say, listen, we've got to win a trophy this season. The Champions League, we never know what's going to happen. The FA Cup might be their best chance to get a trophy this season. So I think that they'll be really motivated in that game to, if they beat Arsenal and they move on in the FA Cup, at that point, like, they're going to look around and say, okay, who can beat us? Nobody.
Good point.
No, Arsenal's gone. We beat them. Who else can beat us in the FA Cup? Probably nobody. So they'll really want to win this game with Arsenal, and then there's a good chance that they can push on and win the FA Cup.
Good point.
Yeah. Whereas if Arsenal beat Man City, Arsenal later on in the FA Cup, it could become difficult for them, because if they're challenging for the Premier League for the very first time, and then they're also going for the FA Cup, that's very demanding. Very demanding, and I don't know if they'll be able to do that, and it might be something that takes away their energy. But on the other hand, they got a lot of youth on that team, a lot of young players, young legs. Maybe they can do it, but I just feel like if they're competing for the FA Cup and the Premier League come April and May, it's going to take a lot out of them.
For sure.
Yeah.
But maybe if who knows, if they lost to Man City, maybe they could have lost the plot.
That's it. I know.
They could have been.
Yeah, they could.
Swiggling.
There's been a few times over the years, a few kind of famous situations in the FA Cup where a team's really been on a roll in the Premier League, and then they've lost an FA Cup game, and they have lost the plot. So it has happened before.
Who knows?
Not saying it's going to happen this time, but there's precedent for it. Anyway, it's an interesting game. It's tough to call. I'll go for a Man City win in that game. I will go for a City win, but I wouldn't put any money on it, because it could go either way. It could be a draw as well.
Could even be a draw.
It definitely could be a draw as well. So I give a slight edge for Man City. If I had to pick, I'd go for Man City, but I'm not touching that game. I'm not touching it.
What about scores? What's the scores going to be?
Again, if I was going for a score, I guess 3-1 Man City.
3-1.
3-1. I'll go for 3-1. But let's see how it plays out. I don't feel very confident with that pick. By the way, I'll give you my picks for the FA Cup very soon, but that's not a game that I have a lot of confidence about. Arsenal could win it. It could be a draw, but I'll go for a Man City win.
Man City win.
Yeah, 3-1.
3-1. I would say 1-0 is more than enough.
1-0 more than 1-0 is more than enough.
1-0 is more than enough.
1-0 is always
that game is going to be full of pressure, full of tactics, stressing. Every player's going to be stressing, and they are going to be under a lot of pressure.
Absolutely.
Because they know what's going to happen if they lose this match.
Oh yeah, it'll be a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension in that game.
Yeah, so I'll say 1-0 will be enough.
1-0. All right.
1-0 Man City.
All right. Well, we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I guess looking at the other matches, if we're talking about some of, I guess, the bigger matches per se, even though there might be some teams struggling, there is another Premier League matchup in the FA Cup this weekend. Liverpool play with Brighton. Now, Brighton just beat the shit out of Liverpool 3-0. And it could have been 6-0. I mean, it was ugly, really ugly. And now they're playing again. It's at Brighton. Brighton, I definitely think are going to win that game again. I will say this, the only difference is in that game, that was the final game that Liverpool used the really, really terrible midfield of Jordan Henderson and Fabinho. After that game, it became obvious that those guys are done, they're finished, they're terrible. In this match, Liverpool are going to use a completely different midfield, so that could make things a little bit different, a little bit better for Liverpool, but I still like Brighton to win that game.
Still like Brighton?
I still like Brighton. I still like Brighton. Tough one to call. It'll be competitive, but I'll go for a Brighton win.
Brighton win. I said, to be fair, I think Liverpool gonna bounce back in this match. I would say Liverpool would completely win by 2-0.
2-0, okay. Well, Liverpool, they did beat Wolves in that FA Cup replay last week.
Yep, they did beat Wolves.
They beat Wolves, so maybe the confidence is there a little bit, but I didn't think they played very well against Chelsea the other day. Let's see how it plays out.
I think they're gonna bounce back.
Okay.
And beat the shit out of Brighton.
Beat the shit out of Brighton. Let's see. But it is another game that I'm not confident putting any money on. I'm not touching that game either. I'm not touching it. So I guess looking at the other FA Cup games, the games that I wanted to focus on for my teaser, my 3-match teaser that I'm gonna by the way, I hit my 3-match teaser last week. So if anybody put that money down last week, congratulations. It was Mancity over Wolves, Mancity over Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea, a draw. We were 3 for 3, so let's see if we can do it again. My 3-match teaser for this week. Fulham over Sunderland.
Fulham over Sunderland, okay.
Sheffield Wednesday over Fleetwood Town.
Okay.
And my last one to finish it out, Luton Town over Grimsby Town.
This one's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so I'm really kind of like, I was watching the third round a bit. I like Luton Town, they're in the championship. I've seen them play a few times, but that's it. Those are my 3 that I'm going for. Fulham to win, Luton Town to win, Sheffield Wednesday to win. So that's where I'm putting my money at. If you want to follow me, let's give it a try, but no promises. No promises. No promises.
But yeah, if you look at the statistic, both of us, we hit loads of bang on predictions.
Oh yeah.
Just like the last episode. So who knows? Maybe if you want to win some sweet chunk of money, trust him.
Yeah, we've been doing pretty well. Like since we've been making these videos. I mean, yeah, of course, there's been a few misses, but I think overall, listen, picking football winners is incredibly difficult to do.
It's pretty tough.
If it was easy, everybody would do it, you know. So I think that our percentage is pretty good. So that's it. Fulham, Sheffield Wednesday, Luton Town to win. Going for those. We'll see how it plays out. Looking forward to the matches though. After this FA Cup weekend, we'll get back into the Premier League.
We'll get back to the Premier League.
Absolutely.
For sure. We won't miss any of it for you guys.
No, we won't. Man United, by the way, I saw in the FA Cup, Man United is playing Reading this weekend in the FA Cup. Reading from the Championship. Reading, yeah. They were in the Premier League many years ago. Now they're on the Championship. Man U should be able to win that game. I would think that Man U are good value to beat Reading. So that's another one you could also look at to maybe put a little bit of money on. But the odds probably won't be very good because, of course, Man U are going to.
Of course, yeah, super low.
Yeah, super low. So I think that's good. I think that we've done well to cover everything, and we hope that you really enjoyed that because we love talking to the audience. Yeah,
we do.
Yeah, we love it. Next week, February means Champions League coming back.
Champions League.
Coming back.
Here we go.
Yep, and there'll be loads of Premier League games to focus on. So enjoy the FA Cup this weekend, and we'll see everybody next time.
Place your bets.
We'll
see you guys in the next episode of Football Prediction with me and Teacher Mark. Don't forget to place your bets, and see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Brilliant.